Let us focus on understanding yet another component of thermal physics, namely thermoelectricity. In thermoelectricity, first thing we need to know and come across is something what is known as Seebeck effect. In the year 1826, another scientist, Seebeck, discovered that if two dissimilar metals are joined in series to form a closed circuit and their two junctions are maintained at different temperatures, automatically a potential difference is developed. The two junctions may be, let us say, metals may be bars or wires of copper and iron, whatever it is. So it was discovered that whenever two dissimilar metals are joined in series to form a closed circuit and their two junctions are maintained at different temperatures, automatically an EMF is found to be developed. Now current force through current is produced and it is flowing through the circuit from iron to copper through the cold junction. Here, for example, if you see copper and iron, two dissimilar metals are joined at the two junctions, both are at different temperatures. One is, let us say, is kept in oil bath for to be a hot junction, and another one is kept in ice to be a cold junction. Then the current flows. The deflection can be seen through the galvanometer here. So therefore, as told earlier, Seebeck identified that whenever two dissimilar metals are joined in series to form a closed circuit and their two junctions are maintained at different temperatures, automatically a PD is developed, that is potential difference, or EMF is developed. So now because of that, current is produced in the circuit that flows from cold junction as shown here. So the current produced in this way without the use of an external cell or a battery is what is known as thermoelectricity or thermoelectric current. And this branch of electricity is what is known as thermoelectricity. And this effect is what is known as Seebeck effect. So the arrangement of wires like this, that is what is known as thermocouple. So if the temperature of one junction is kept at 0 degrees centigrade and that of the other is gradually raised, it is found that for small difference of temperatures, the thermo EMF is approximately proportional to the temperature difference between the two junctions and depend on the nature of the metals. So the greatest thermo EMFs are obtained with antimony and bismuth, and the current flows from antimony to bismuth through the cold junction. The metals can be arranged in a series called thermoelectric series, such that if a thermocouple be formed out of any of the two metals, an electric current flows at the cold junction from the metal occurring earlier in the series to the occurring later. The series is antimony, iron, zinc, silver, lead, copper, bismuth, etc. Now let us understand how this Seebeck effect works. The concentration of electrons at the interface in the two metals is not the same because it depends on the nature of the metal and its temperature. So, on the basis of electron theory, it is assumed that the electrons in the interior of the metals move about like molecules in a gas and therefore exert a certain pressure which has different values for metals at a given temperature. Therefore, the electronic densities, otherwise electron gas pressure, in any two different metals at the same temperature are different. So when two metals are joined, the transference of electrons from the metal of higher electronic concentration, that is electronic density, to that of lower electronic concentration takes place. So therefore, one metal becomes negatively charged while the other becomes positively charged when a state of dynamic equilibrium is reached. So thus, a contact potential difference exists across each junction which is responsible for driving the current in the circuit. Let us look at some of the practical applications of Seebeck effect. One is measurement of temperature. The unknown temperature can be measured with the help of a thermocouple. Thermocouple is calibrated by placing one junction in a bath of constant varying temperature while the other junction at a constant temperature. So the thermo EMFs developed in every case is measured and then a graph is plotted between temperature difference between the two junctions and the corresponding EMFs developed. Now this graph is what is known as calibration graph. Now the hot junction is placed in the bath of unknown temperature to be measured and the EMF developed in the thermocouple is measured. With the help of calibration graph curve, the corresponding temperature difference for this EMF is noted and by subtracting the temperature of the cold junction, the unknown temperature can be calculated. For temperatures up to 100 degrees centigrade, thermocouple of base metals may be used, while for higher temperatures, platinum, rhodium or molybdenum tungsten couples are used. So that is one of the practical applications of Seebeck effect. The other application, if you look at it, is detection of heat radiation. The thermopile can be used in the detection and measurement of radiation. Thermopile consists of number of bismuth antimony couples arranged in series so as to multiply the effect. One set of junctions be protected from radiation while heat is allowed to fall on the other set. The deflection produced in the galvanometer, which is generally connected in series with the thermopile, is proportional to the radiant heat energy. One of the most sensitive detectors is Boyce radio micrometer. It is a combination of moving coil galvanometer and with thermocouple suspended between the poles of a magnet. The other practical application when you look at Seebeck effect is measurement of current. The thermoelectric effect is also used for measurement of current. The Dudel's thermogalvanometer is used for this purpose. It is similar to Boyce radio micrometer with a difference that a heater coil is placed near the thermocouple. The current to be measured is passed through the heater coil, which emits heat radiation, which are measured by radio micrometer. So these are some of the practical applications of Seebeck effect. Let us understand the variation of thermoelectric EMF with temperature. So like this, if a graph is plotted between the temperature of the hot junction and thermo EMF E of the cold junction being kept at 0 degrees centigrade, a parabolic curve is obtained like this. So the thermo EMF increases with temperature of hot junction and becomes a maximum at a particular temperature. So this maximum temperature, that is the temperature of the hot junction at which maximum EMF flows, is constant for a given couple, and this is what is known as neutral temperature. It is denoted as Tn here, neutral temperature. That is the temperature of the hot junction at which maximum EMF flows is a constant for a given couple, and it is known as neutral temperature, Tn for the couple. If the temperature of the hot junction is further raised, let us say, above the neutral temperature, the EMF decreases and becomes 0 at a particular temperature. It is called the inversion temperature, Ti. That means the temperature at which the thermo EMF is 0 is what is known as inversion temperature. So beyond this temperature, the EMF again increases, but in the reverse direction. So the thermo EMF E varies with temperature according to this equation. E equal to AT plus BT square. This is the variation of EMF with temperature. Here A and B are constant for the thermocouple. Now differentiating this equation, we can get dE by dt equal to A plus 2BT. Suppose the temperature is the neutral temperature, Tn. Then when T becomes Tn, naturally E will become maximum. Because at that temperature only E is becoming maximum. No? So therefore, when it is maximum, it means it is constant. Therefore, its derivative is 0. So therefore, substituting these values, the equation becomes 0 equal to A plus 2BTn when temperature is Tn. So from this, you can calculate the neutral temperature Tn as mathematically minus A by 2B. Okay? And at the other temperature, suppose if the temperature in the other side is the inversion temperature. So at T equal to Ti, naturally it is minimum. So this is becoming 0. Therefore E is becoming 0. So from equation, you can write Ti equal to minus A by B. So from these two equations, Tn equal to minus A by 2B and Ti equal to minus A by B. So we can obtain the relation between neutral temperature and inversion temperature as inversion temperature is twice that of the neutral temperature. So Ti will become 2Tn. That is, the inversion temperature is as much above the neutral temperature as the temperature of the cold junction, because temperature of the cold junction is kept at 0 degrees centigrade. It is below it. So therefore, Ti is therefore not a constant for a given thermocouple, but depends on the temperature of the cold junction. This is what we need to understand. Now let us understand the law of intermediate metals. Law of intermediate metals states that if at a given temperature a number of metals are in successive contact so as to form a chain of elements connected in a series, the electromotive force between the extreme elements, if placed in direct contact, is the sum of the electromotive forces between successive adjacent elements. That is, for metals, let us say A, B, C, D, E, F, etc., N, they are all in successive contact. Then, as per law of intermediate action, their EMF of the series of cells from A to N, that is the total EMF of series of cells from A to N, is the sum of electromotive forces between adjacent sides. That is E of A to B plus E of B to C plus E of C to D plus E of D to E, etc., plus E of M to N. So this is what law of intermediate metals says. Intermediate metals law says when you are connecting number of metals in successive contact so that a chain of elements is connected in series, then the electromotive force between the extreme elements connected in series, let us say it started with A at one extreme, N at the other extreme. Therefore, the total EMF between A to N, the extreme, is the sum of the adjacent elements, successive adjacent elements. So this is how it can be represented. So the electromotive force between the extreme elements is the sum of electromotive forces between successive adjacent elements, provided all the junctions in series are the same temperature. Suppose, for example, instead of so many, let us say you have taken only 3 metals. A, B, C are taken as 3 metals, they are in contact. So you can write like this. A is the starting metal, C is the extreme other end metal. Therefore, EMF of A to C is nothing but EMF of A to B plus EMF of B to C. Where this E, AC, E, AB, E, B, C, they denote EMFs for the circuits of the metals A, B, A and B, B and C, A and C, like that, for a given fixed junction temperatures. This is what we need to understand about law of intermediate metals. Let us understand law of intermediate temperatures. Now, when you look at law of intermediate temperatures, the electromotive force for a couple with junctions, let us say T1 and T3, is the sum of electromotive forces of two couples of the same metals, one with junction at T1 and T2 and the other with junctions at T2 and T3. Therefore, we can represent the EMF as E of 1,3 equal to E of 1,2 plus E of 2,3. Here E of 1,3 is the EMF when the junctions are at T1 and T3. E12 is EMF when the junctions are at T1 and T2. E23 is nothing but the EMF when the junctions are at T2 and T3. This is how we can understand law of intermediate temperatures. Let us understand thermoelectric power. The thermo EMF of the couple changes when the temperature of hot junction is changed while the cold junction is placed at constant temperature. That is, the rate of change of thermo EMF with respect to temperature is what is known as thermoelectric power of the couple at a particular temperature. That is d by dt of E. Now, this can be given by the slope of the tangent to the EMF temperature curve at that temperature. Already we have seen the graph of thermo EMF along with absolute temperature. EMF in EMF versus change of EMF with temperature variation we have seen. So, the tangent drawn to the slope of the tangent to that curve at that temperature gives you the thermoelectric power. So, we can understand this experiment process. Against temperature, if you draw the thermoelectric power by plotting it, we can understand this process. Like the cold junction of the thermocouple is placed at 0 degrees centigrade, and for different temperatures of hot junction, thermo EMF is determined with the help of potentiometer. A graph can be plotted between thermo EMF and the temperature of hot junction. The graph is a parabola. Now, as told you earlier in thermoelectric power, from this the slope of the tangent automatically gives you the temperature. At that temperature, it gives you the thermoelectric power, which is nothing but rate of change of thermo EMF with respect to temperature. dE by dt can be found through the slope. Now, in this graph, when you plot the graph, a number of points are selected on the parabola and the tangents are drawn on these points. The slopes of these tangents give the value of thermoelectric power dE by dt at the temperature. And we know that E is equal to AT plus BT square, where A and B are constants for the given thermocouple. So the thermoelectric power is therefore can be given by using this formula. P equal to dE by dt, that is A plus 2bt, which is the equation of a straight line. So therefore, if the graph is plotted between dE and dt and t, like this, it is a straight line obtained as shown here. This is what we need to understand about Seebeck effect. So if you summarize in this session, under thermoelectricity, we try to understand the Seebeck effect, the experimental arrangement setup, the explanation of Seebeck effect, practical applications of Seebeck effect like measurement of temperature, detection of heat radiation and measurement of current, followed by variation of thermoelectric EMF with temperature, and then we try to understand the law of intermediate metals, law of intermediate temperatures, and then thermoelectric power, and also seen the graphical representation of Seebeck effect in this session.